Coming in hot, 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 Lisa shares her financial tips and strategies to build wealth, have fun with finances, and be debt-free without having a restrictive budget. From bankrupt to millionaire, Lisa knows what it's like to feel as if you're living paycheck to paycheck. Her unconventional money multiplier system is the very wealth protocol that enabled her to retire 2.5 years early, pay down $100,000 of debt in 6 months, and move to her dream home at the beach. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to rate the show, give us some love. We would love your review. And remember, it doesn't matter how much money you make, it's what you do with it. And some words of advice: pay yourself first. Are you ready to partner with money? Go check out the money dating game at idatemoney.com and choose your partner. We hope you always get the date you want. I go live all the time. People are like, I can't hear you. I'm like, well, why not? I can hear me. Why can't you hear me? So just testing. Looks like we are live. I'm just going to go into the group and make sure that everyone can hear me. For those of you who are getting notified, come hang out. Oh, I love it. We got a little message that says we're live. Okay, we're good. Okay. So I am Lisa Drennon, everyone. Today I host visionary panels once a month. I bring on experts. A lot of these ladies have been on my podcast. Some I haven't even met. But each month we bring in different experts to share with you their financial journey in their niche. Okay. So today we have in the house some amazing health and fitness coaches, some of my favorite people. I think this is the industry where we do all of the investment, right? Everyone I talk to, like, where do you put all your money into health and fitness? I mean, how many ways can we reshape our body from the inside out? These experts all have their own special twist on it. So any questions you have, ask them in the comments. I'll be checking and monitoring there. But we're going to get started. We're going to dive in. We're going to hit this for about an hour or so. So, anybody that wants to hear what these wonderful ladies have to say about fitness and finances, go grab your friends and have them come in and join in as well. So we're going to start off with introductions. So everyone in the house, listen as these ladies share who they are, what they're doing, and how they can help you. And we'll start with Lauren.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. My name is Lauren Shante. I help action-taking Wonder Women to sculpt beautiful bodies after pregnancy. I have 3 kids, ages 6, 8, and about to be 13, which absolutely blows my mind that I am going to be a mom to a teenager. Crazy. And I do that doing something called psychosomatic body alignment, which is a really unique method of helping to align the body so that you can prime it for rapid weight loss.
Oh, we lost your volume.
Oh, lost me. Did I answer the whole question?
You cut off at weight loss.
Yeah, no, that's all I wanted to say. Unless you want to something else, Lisa, I can talk the whole
time. Steal the show. Emily, you're up.
Hi, my name is Emily Flood, and I am the founder of Fitness Witchcraft. And so I help witches to lose weight after trauma using depth psychology aligned body energetics. And so I am also a druidic high priestess, and I work with spirit guides and deities like the Morrigan to Aphrodite, and I bring in all of that for my clients' health.
So cool. And I love that picture behind you. Monique.
Hey everybody, my name is Monique Derwin and I am a mind-body practitioner. I teach people to self-heal and end pain and anxiety.
I love that. So much anxiety out there, Ronnie.
Okay, hi guys. So I am Ronnie and I help high achieving women lose weight and feel amazing from the inside out by really combining fitness with mindset and focusing on a nourishment first approach. So we really focus on transforming from the inside out and helping you to, like I said, really feel your best, not just look your best.
I love that. Jennifer.
Hello from Costa Rica. I'm Jen Rulon. I help busy women transition from change, and that change could be perimenopausal, menopausal, oh my God, going through a divorce, any major change that a woman is going through. So helping them change from change to empowerment through fitness, mindset, and nutrition.
I love that. And I think there's quite a few ladies out there who are going through divorce. So you might want to connect with Jen and all these different modalities, like take notes, like who would be like the best person to connect with you. So make sure you can check the comments. We're going to throw their links for how you can connect with them in the comments. They're also going to be in the show notes. This is going to be over on my YouTube channel, Money Talks. So if you want to connect with any of these ladies, their links will be in the comments. So ladies, if you want to just throw them in the chat and I'll get them over there and we'll get started with our questions. So we have a set of questions that we're going to ask each lady, they're going to answer. And if you ladies and gents listening out there in the Facebook world, if you have anything else that you want to add, post it in the comments. I'll go ahead and grab it and we'll do a little Q&A at the end. So the first question is, can you share a pivotal moment in your journey as a health and fitness coach when financial struggles threatened to derail your passion? We want to know how you overcame it and what was the valuable lesson that you learned. We'll start with you, Emily.
Yes, I got this answer. So it was actually about like 6 or 7 months ago when I had a couple clients who defaulted and their total combined payments was essentially more than my rent. And so it threw me into a bit of a money crisis that I was going through, and I literally wasn't able to pay rent. And so how I got through that, it was because I was waiting on external factors to see myself as an authority with my creation of fitness witchcraft. And like the funny thing is like there were people out there, like lots of people in the unicorn group, lots of fellow unicorns telling me, oh my gosh, fitness witchcraft is so cool. I'd had therapists who'd come through my program who were like, this is groundbreaking. And yet I still didn't believe in myself as an authority. And so that experience of like literally not being able to pay rent, like the scariest financial crisis I've ever gone through, was really kind of the push that I needed to just say, fuck it, I'm going to start showing up as an authority and really owning fitness witchcraft and like treating myself like a thought leader. And then boom, all of the clients and all of the money came in because I made that shift for myself first.
Yeah. Getting that subconscious and conscious aligned is so important. It's like one of the keys. And like when we talk about being, physically fit, it's emotionally too, as Ronnie was saying, like, it's from the inside out. You got to get those thoughts in alignment with what you desire and then take the action. I love that, Emily. Thank you for sharing that. Not being able to pay your rent, that's pretty scary, isn't it?
Yes. It was terrifying. I was like so full of shame when I went to talk to them. And then it turned out it really wasn't the worst case scenario. So
yeah, that's awesome. Lauren.
Yeah. Okay. So, financial problems feel a little bit differently when you have a family, right? And for me, being able to do what I love is very dependent upon being able to provide for my kids and provide for my family, because if I can't, like, I need to go get another job, right? So I remember about 2 years ago when we first moved to New York, there was kind of like a question about whether I was going to be able to continue in health and fitness or whether I was going to have to go and be a teacher, because I'm actually a licensed teacher as well. And it was a really scary moment because I was like, I'm only 37. So at the time I was 35, I'm like, am I going to spend the rest of my life doing something that I don't love? Am I going to spend the rest of my life having my giftings just not being used? And it was in that moment, kind of facing that financial situation that we were in and that choice, where I was like, no, like I have to go all in on myself. I have to go all in on being able to be a virtual coach in addition to doing my in-person offerings, because there's just too much on the line. Like not only do I want to be able to provide a really spectacular life for my kids and a lot of stability, but I also want to do that in a way where at the end of my life, I'm not going to look back and have regrets. And so that was really the beginning of my investment journey, investing in other programs, starting into nonstop, now being in higher level programs with Nicole, because at that point, there just wasn't a choice anymore. I was not willing to choose the option that didn't align with who I was. And out of that has come some of the greatest growth of my life, and definitely some of the greatest financial fruits, and of course more to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Going in all on yourself is so important. I remember when I did the big scary investment, I was like, oh my goodness. And I, and I have the investments. It's like, but I don't want to touch that money. It's like you get what are those called? Alligator arms. It's like, no, I don't want to touch that. So I feel that. Thank you. Jen, you're up.
I think I've had a couple aha moments, and we've talked about this on the podcast, but just as of recently, I transitioned from a triathlon endurance coach for most of my career as a fitness and health expert, and then transitioned into helping women going through that change because I've retired from the sport of triathlon. So I was a 15-time Ironman triathlete. And now here I am. I don't swim, bike, and run anymore. I strength train and surf and go for walks, like that's my jam. And so I thought, how can I help women going through that life change? And my aha moment for me was in December of last year when I made that transition from triathlon coach to helping women. But then also I realized I had to stop living the Pura Vida life. Like, no worries, no problem, and not only was I live in the Pura Vida life, so is my bank account, right? And so I realized that, okay, it's time to step it up. It's time to start making money and living, truly in Costa Rica by working in Costa Rica, but having clients all around the world. So my aha moment was one, I stopped living the Pura Vida life in my business. And then two, making that shift from not being that triathlon coach to being that, if you want to say fitness coach, life coach.
Yeah. Such a beautiful transformation too. And now you get to live your dream in Costa Rica. How
I do.
wonderful is that? That's amazing. Thank you. Ronnie.
Okay, so I mean, this has always been an area that's been interesting for me. I've always been the type of person who worked really hard, and I just like failure is just never been an option, right? Like even when things weren't working, I just like my strong suit is that I was persistent, right? That was why fitness was such a good area for me in the beginning, right? But I remember a time last year in October where like kind of same as Emily, like I had a bunch of people defaulting and like it was just like same, it was outweighing my bills and like I kept pulling from my savings to pay my bills and it was so frustrating. And I just was like, coming from the health standpoint, I was like, is this stress really good for the baby? Me? like, like one of those things where I was like, like, I don't think that, like this is like, and I just had one of those moments of it would be easier not to. Right. And then this was one of those things where I kind of had my little moment where I was down on myself and then I kind of realized that like, okay, well, when payments come through and this happens, like, it's whatever. And then that was right before I did like my whole Black Friday thing. And then like a couple months later, I had my biggest launch and all like, and it was just that making the decision of like, okay, like, sure, it might be easier to go get a job, right? I might have less stress in one way, but like one, I don't want somebody to tell me what to do. So like, that's not going to last very long. And like I said, I have that thing in me where like, I just don't stop. So I just like pivoted, did something different and like decided to go all in and, very like me and Emily are very similar, but we just have very different approaches to it. like that was like what I did too, was I just aligned myself with my goal, right? I became the person who like multi 5-figure launches is just what I do. And like, once I aligned with that and I did it, like when it happened, I mean, Lisa, you're like, we're in the same mastermind, right? So like when we were talking about it, like, it wasn't even like, it just was, and it just shows like how I went from like October where I was like crying on the floor, like ready to just like stop it all to like November being awesome. And then like scrolling right on into January. Right. So, yeah, I think for me in the beginning, it's a lot of persistence and that's kind of what's helped me overcome it. But really like learning to align body and mind, which is exactly what I teach my clients to do. But for fitness, it's the same, right? Like there's no separation. If I want to do it, if I can do it in my fitness and my body image, I can do it in my finances. So for me, it was just realizing that and putting those pieces together.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful transition. I love seeing the growth. And I love being able to share in that too. Thank you. And Monique, you're up.
Yeah, this is a great question. And like many of these other women here, I was put into a place where I got pressured and I had the force, right? The drive to do it. But we know that you know, things show up in one of three areas in our lives, mainly bedroom, bank account, body. Like it showed up in your health, wealth, your relationship somewhere, right? So I grew up in poverty. I grew up in a very large family and a lot of scarcity. And it was hard for me to not only get it, but to hold it after I received it, right? So there was like this receiving, holding, and then how do I put it back into my business, multiply it, share it with the community, whatever. And I'll never forget the first time I hit a 25K month. It was a few years back, and I just lost it. Like I lost everything in my bank account. I lost all of my clients. It was this huge thing that happened. And what I saw was it was actually a lull that pushed me up into a growth, right? And so I lost everything. I went into panic. But then I found my driver. And for me, my driver was freedom. And to have the freedom to work from anywhere, to live anywhere, to build the legacy for my kids, to live the dream that I had been creating, it just wasn't negotiable to go back, you know, and start over. So I think that if you have a driver that can motivate you and it's truly something that is scarier than losing it all, you know, it's enough to push you and pressure you into that space. Then I learned how to do it with gentleness, which is much better on my nervous system. But yeah, I was co-creating, you know, from fear instead of abundance and potential.
Yeah, and that's so often what we default to, isn't it? You know, we create some fear and then we get all caught up in our thoughts and then anxiety sits in and then it's like we freeze and we don't get through it. And it's just like, what's wrong with me? How am I going to work through this? So those of you watching live, do you ever feel this way? Like share in the comments, like how do you work through it? And was this helpful for you? What was your aha moment when you were listening to these ladies share? Like, you know, Emily couldn't pay rent and, you know, Lauren's got the family thing. And do I give up my passion because I have to go get a job? You know, like, and, you know, do I give up triathlon? Do I, you know, like, what do I have to sacrifice in order to make this happen? So really think about that and share in the comments. And be sure to check the comments for links to connect with all of these beautiful ladies that you'd like to get into their funnel and learn more about them. So our next question is to describe a moment, just one moment, when you realize the importance of aligning your financial goals with your wellness goals. And how has this alignment transformed your approach to coaching? And it's one thing I love, you know, financial fitness, right? It's just, there's so many parallels with fitness and finance. And if we just applied that, because we all have lots of knowledge about what we need to do to get healthy, to get fit, but we don't always implement it. So we're going to start with Jen this time.
You know, I'm sitting here thinking it's so easy for me to put myself in the gym. It's a non-negotiable. Like I don't even second guess going to the gym. Like that's my thing. That I mean, we all get that, right? It's a non-negotiable. Like when somebody's like, "Oh, maybe you shouldn't work out today." I'm like, "Excuse me, what was that?" You know, but for me, I had a hard time paying myself. And so here I am putting money in myself, fitness wise, spending money, going to the gym, eating healthy, doing all that right stuff. But then I sit there and I hoarded money in my business account because I'm like, oh, I don't want to pay myself because something might happen or something might come up for me. I have to pay this bill. Oh, I have to pay that. Oh, but I do have to pay rent now. Like, so all of a sudden here I was like, wait, you got to put money in your bank just as much as you put money into your body. Done.
Yeah. That's a great point too. I like to change that have to get to, like we get to, right? We get to do that. I love that. Ronnie.
Okay, so for me, I think that I realized, and I mean, this is something that I think everybody can relate to, but it was that piece of the things that were holding me back from feeling good in my body. And like, I struggled with a lot of disordered eating when I was younger and those types of things. I did the same thing with my finances. right? So I was the type of person who I withheld food from myself, right? I didn't give my body the nourishment that it needed. I withheld food, and it turned into the same thing with letting myself have what I want, right? So it was like when it came to money, when it came to buying myself things, like I only gave myself the bare minimum. And it was just like I realized that I was running the same pattern, and it all came back to a self-worth piece. And the thing is that you cannot be happy financially in your body in any area of your life until you really learn to like love and accept yourself and give yourself what it is like that you want and need. So for me, it was, just when I realized that I had been doing the same thing with money that I was doing with food all those years ago, it was just kind of like a oh shit moment where I was like, okay, like, I need to make a change because like this isn't in alignment with where I want to go. Right. And so this is something that and obviously too, like your finances directly impact your health and well-being, either like, your ability to afford certain things, it can make an impact on it, but also in stress. Like when you're constantly stressed, doesn't matter if you're working out and eating healthy, like the stress is going to eat at your body, right? So you're not really healthy unless you're taking care of that. And like I said, for me, it was the one moment was just when I had that like aha, where I realized that I was treating money like I was food when I struggled with disordered eating. And I was like, okay, like that's not going to fly. I have to do something about it. So it's definitely something that I work on constantly with myself, but also with my clients, right? Like we focus on allowing ourselves to give ourselves what we want. And it's really like focusing on all of the things that are an investment in yourself, and not everything that's an investment in you is money, right? So we invest in our time. But for me, that was the big moment. And then it was really just becoming aware of that for my clients too.
Yeah, those patterns of self-sabotage, the food, you stuff the food and it's like the money, and they go hand in hand. So I love that description. Thank you. Monique.
Yeah. So, health is wealth. We know they derive from the same thing, right? So wealthy is actually like with health, like wealthy with healthy. So if you look at it from that space, you really can't have one without the other. Healthy people are wealthy people. Wealthy people tend to be healthy people. Not only because financially they can afford the gym membership or the private coaching or the better food or things like that, but because they've actually learned to prioritize what's important to them. And so you don't have to have a lot of money to start out in this type of stuff. But if you're willing to prioritize yourself, just like Jen was saying, is it Jen? Like the gym's not negotiable. I don't care if you move your body for 5 minutes every day, just get up and move your body, start somewhere. Same thing with your finances, like start somewhere, write down your goals, decide what you want. And then what do I need to do to get me there? What aligns with that? If doing this does not bring me closer to that, why are we doing it? So mindset shift, as well as, just the rules of life. And if your financial goals are not aligned with your health goals, something is going to be off kilter. And again, it's going to show up somewhere in your life. And so just, are you willing to write it down, take the action, get the result? It doesn't have to be hard. We can be really simple with this.
Yeah. And that's it. It's easy, it's simple, but it's not easy. And when you're talking, it reminds me of that, fail to plan, plan to fail.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, like, every dollar has a job. And if you give it a job, just like, if you prepare your meals ahead of time, you're not going to go for that sugary, rich hot fudge chocolate dessert that I absolutely love and treat myself to at least once a day because I can, even if it's just a teaspoon, right? But like not like depriving yourself completely, but really indulging to the point where you have that balance. It's all about balance. So thank you for that, Monique. Emily.
Yes. So I have a history of yo-yo dieting. So I would lose a shit ton of weight for competitions, and then I would rebound with binge eating. And so I was like living out this roller coaster. And like when I was finally able to release the binge eating and the roller coaster with my body, I just moved the roller coaster to a different area of my life. I moved it to relationships, and I was in an abusive relationship with a narcissist. And then after I got out of that scenario, what I started to see was then how I just moved it to money. And there was one particular scenario where I had like a huge like PTSD flashback moment a year and a half ago. And, I didn't go to food because I'd already dealt with that, right? But I went and I spent a shit ton of money at a crystal shop. And it took me a while to realize, like, whoa, what did I just do there? Because I was living out the same financial yo-yos. And so this actually transformed my coaching, because then it made me go, oh, my clients come into my program and they release binge eating very quickly, but I need to make sure that they're just not moving it into their spending. They're not coping with triggers and spending instead of eating food. And so in my program, we really talk about money mindset and really being able to get off that roller coaster after trauma and make sure we're not just putting that into food, and make sure then we're not putting it into money. Because are you really healthy if you are freaked out about paying rent every month because you're binge spending instead of binge eating?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what a great point. A lot of times we get rid of one habit, but we don't replace it. So we just transfer it. So it's still the habit. It's the same exact habit. It's just in a different place. So, really important, especially those ladies that are listening out there, gentlemen too. You guys, do you notice this? And put it in the comments, share. Do you notice any binge things that you're doing? Like, have you transferred? Are you binge eating, then binge spending? I know for me, when I was self-sabotaging, I was overeating, over drinking, overspending. I was hitting all areas. I was a hot mess. I'm still working through those layers. This is a daily healing thing. It's not like one and done. Just in case you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get fixed in one day. Well, one, you're not broken, and two, it takes more than one day to rewire our subconscious. So thank you for that, Emily. Lauren.
There is one very specific moment where everything changed for me when it comes to understanding how money impacts my health. And it was the day that I almost left my kids without either of their parents. And it was from something that was completely preventable. In 2019, my kid's dad was deployed to Afghanistan for 12 months. I'm an active duty, like going through a divorced military spouse. So it's really weird to figure out exactly how to say that. But I've been an active duty military spouse for the last 16 years. He's deployed to Afghanistan 3 times, but this was the first time that we had kids at home. Actually, no, the second time I had a baby, but I had all 3 kids by myself for 12 months with no family, no one to help. Only one of my kids was in school full time. So I was essentially with little children around the clock for 12 months. And it was really, really hard. It was so hard that I wasn't drinking enough water. I wasn't eating enough. I wasn't getting enough fiber. I wasn't resting enough. And I wasn't even really getting a chance to like go to the bathroom and like handle my digestive needs. And there was one day where I realized I was getting sick. And it wasn't, at first I thought maybe I just like had a stomach thing going on. But then I started to realize that something more was going on, and I started to get lightheaded, and my blood pressure started to go up really, really high, to the point where I didn't think I was going to be able to care for my kids. And you guys have to understand that, like, if you can't care for your kids when your spouse is deployed and you don't have family in the area, social services is coming for your children. That is who is coming to help you. And I remember just sliding down the bathroom door because I had shut the bathroom door on my kids just to try to compose myself, and realizing that I was going to have to call an ambulance. And that when that ambulance came, I didn't want my kids to see me. So I called 911 and I gave them a different address. I asked them to pull up outside of somebody else's house so that my kids wouldn't see that while their dad was off at war, that their mom was going to the hospital, and they wouldn't think that maybe somebody wasn't going to come back. And I ended up having an impacted bowel, and it was awful. I had spent the absolute most horrendous 6 hours at the emergency room that night. And being, somebody who's been in health and wellness for 17 years, just so angry at myself that I knew that it was fully preventable. And, I had to call a babysitter to watch my kids so that I could go to the hospital that night. And I am just so grateful that everything turned out okay. But in that moment, I was like, I should have had more support for this entire year. It shouldn't have just been me pushing myself so hard that I brought myself to the point of sickness. I should have been able to get a babysitter whenever I needed to. I should have been able to afford to send my kids to preschool. I should have been able to afford having more prepared foods and healthy things. And I should have been able to afford to fly grandparents out to help while he was overseas serving our country. And I couldn't do that. And it literally brought me to the point where I was very, very, very sick. And that's really when my mindset started to shift around business. I mean, during that deployment, at the tail end of it, I built the 90-day rapid reset program. I had a 9-month-old baby on my lap breastfeeding, and I was over her with my hands on my laptop creating the program. And when she was napping, I was filming the videos. And then after that, I went on to invest in my first coaching program. And up to now, I've invested almost $40,000 into myself and my business. Sorry, my battery symbol came up. And I never would have done that without that moment, making me realize that for moms, living with just enough is never going to be enough.
Wow. I have tears streaming down my face. I don't know if you ladies can see that. Picture all blurry, even though my glasses are. That was a thank you so much. I mean, that really touched my heart. And I know there's a lot of moms out there that go through that. You know, there's a lot of single moms too. And you know, single moms out there, like even if you're married and your husband's deployed and thank him for his service, that's really hard on your bodies and your minds, like not to have a break ever. And then you suffer, you don't take care of yourself, you don't eat. I don't know how many of my friends, I mean, it's been a long time since my kids were little. My youngest is 26. But I had a great support system, but I had friends who didn't have that support system. And, you know, they would just be eating, you know, their kids' food that they didn't touch at dinner time or something. I'm like, stop it. Just sit down and eat a meal. Well, you don't understand. I don't have time. I'm like, make time. Like, what do you need? Like, let me come over and watch your kids, like swap babysitting, do something. But yeah, thank you. That was very, whew, big, deep breath. Wow. Thank you for sharing that and being so vulnerable. Okay, next question. What advice would you give to other health and fitness coaches who are struggling with financial instability? And can you share a personal story of how you've navigated a similar challenge? And we will start with Ronnie.
Okay, well, kind of going off of what I said earlier, I mean, I know my advice won't work for everybody, but it's just persistence, right? Like it's the same with your fitness goals. It's the fact that you can't mess it up. You can't fail if you don't stop. If you are committed to growing and learning and like, not just like, you know, doing random stuff, but like reflecting and refining and growing, this is the best way to learn, right? And I think it's so easy to compare yourself to other people. I mean, as a fitness coach, like they're everywhere, right? And anybody online can call themselves a fitness coach, and it feels like they're like it feels very overwhelming. But I think that, you know, for me, it's just like I said, allowing yourself to stay in your own lane, focus on yourself, focus on improving yourself, and on being the best you can at what you love to do, right? Like everybody in here, what I love is that everybody has a complete, like we all work in health and the health umbrella, but everybody here does something totally different. And when you realize that there is nobody who's going to do it exactly the way you do, and you can really narrow in on that, that's when it gets easier, right? But when you're like, it's easy if we could all sit here and compare ourselves to everyone in this room, but then it's like, okay, well, the person who's going to hire Emily or Lauren is not the person who's going to hire me, right? Like, even though we all sell weight loss, we all have completely different clients. And when you can focus on you and just kind of like head down, do the work, stay persistent, it will get better, right? And I think that, you know, this is something like I kind of realized recently that, you know, no matter how much money I made, I always felt financially unstable, right? Even though I wasn't. Like I remember that I had an 11K sales day, my first 5-figure sales day, and nothing changed, right? Nothing changed about the way I felt about myself. I still felt like I had to save and hoard my money. Like that was one of the moments that really showed me, okay, it's really not about the money. Like, I mean, I get it that like, yeah, at the end of the day, like you do need food to feed your family and yourself and pay your bills and all these things. But like when, you know, you can allow yourself to kind of stick with it, I find that, you know, financial instability is hard and it's scary, but like do the work and do what you need to do, right? Like this could be like in fitness and health, there's so many different ways, right? Like I have online clients. I have an online program. I have a boot camp. I do in-person clients, right? I don't take as many in-person clients, but I live locally. And when people reach out, like I'm going to help them, right? So it's just like, there's so many different ways. And I think that putting yourself out there and just seeing how many different ways there are to make money, it really helps, right? Because like you might have people that online who pay monthly, right? Who do a one-off thing, but it's like when you can find those different ways and then find what you really like and go for it, that really helps, right? Like I've always been a very internally motivated person. I think almost everybody in fitness is. So like if you're a fitness coach, chances are you have that in you where it's like, okay, like I'm persistent, I'm going to get this thing done. So it's just kind of reminding yourself that, you know, just seeing financial instability or fears as just like another goal to overcome. And when you can take your own personal feelings out of it and really kind of just go into it and see yourself as a science experiment, right? What worked? What didn't? What can I do better? Do more of what worked. And then, like I said, I'm just kind of head down, keep going until it works person. But yeah, so that's the advice that I would give.
I love that. And I mean, Ronnie did a special event with me. We did a money dating game, and she was one of the contestants. And she's more like Harry the Hoarder. So when she says she's a hoarder, she's right. So if you guys, there's 7 money archetypes. If you haven't figured out who yours is, go to idatemoney.com/idatemoney and go take the money dating game. And like, there's 7 archetypes. We all have 7, but there's the top 3, and there's one driver. And then of course we're looking for our partner. So who are you going to swipe right on? But I love that. Thank you so much, Ronnie, for sharing that. Monique.
Yeah. So, advice to give other health coaches. There's so much we could give. But one of the things that really changed the trajectory of my business was realizing what I wanted to spend the income that I was receiving on. As long as I had a goal that I wanted to get, then I could have it come in, receive it, and then reinvest in the things. Think about like currency, right? Like it's current, right? It flows. So if I want stuff coming in, what am I willing to put out? What am I willing to give in exchange? And so for me, one of those main moments was realizing that I was making all this money, and then I was kind of, like she was just saying, like holding it and hoarding it because I was afraid of, not doing it again, not being able to repeat the month, not having enough the next week. So in all of these stories, it kind of goes back to that one moment where I got all this stuff, and then my nervous system just freaked out and I lost everything. It was the biggest fear that I had, was to have nothing in my savings, nothing in my checking, no clients in the pipeline coming in, and nothing to look forward to. And so I bit the bullet and I reinvested in something really fast, and as soon as I put the money out there and reinvested in myself, I cannot ask anyone in the entire world to invest in me if I'm not going to invest in myself. What a hypocrite, right? I can't do that. And so I realized that I was not investing in me to the capacity that I could or should. And I had the ability to do it, but I wasn't doing it. So really understanding what that fear was, and then reinvesting in myself, signing up for another mentorship, getting the next thing for my business going. I mean, as soon as I did that, it all just came right back. And I realized that is the circle for me. The circulation is just to continue to make sure that I invest in myself and make sure that I'm living what I'm teaching people. Because
Yeah.
otherwise it feels like fraud.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do your own program, right?
Yeah.
And when you see it as an investment in yourself, you're going to take the action. Because I don't know, I have so many clients that buy things and never even touch play. They never hit play. This is well, what do you mean you haven't watched the modules yet? It's part of the program. Well, I don't need that. I can do my own thing. No, you can't. Stop it. That's why you're here. You're in this container because you can't do your own thing. If you could have, you would have done it by now. So just stop it. Just get out. And so I think when we change it to the word investment, and when we get to that bottom, like, a lot of times people say, oh, you got to hit rock bottom. I personally don't think you have to hit rock bottom. I think you just have to be willing to want to make the change happen. Like your desires have to be aligned, and like, your subconscious, your conscious, all has to be in alignment with those core values and what is it that you're going after, and then reverse engineer it. So, thinking about that, like, especially those, I know there's a lot of nutrition and health and fitness coaches out there listening in, and there's other coaches too, the spiritual coaches, the life coaches, all of you, we all go through dry spells. Okay. We all start at 0. And, when you're like out there, I saw a post in the big group last night about somebody that, was like, I'm tired of playing small. I'm going to raise my prices. I'm going to do this. And that's it. I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to tell you how it is. And that's it. And that's how I am with me. It doesn't work, by the way, just so you know. Really have to align those desires. So thank you, Monique. Emily.
Yeah, so I still have a lot of peers in the health and fitness industry from like when I started my business 4 years ago. And they're still kind of in the same spot with their business as they were 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, like I got my business started out on Instagram, actually. So that was when you were posting like the Canva slides of 3 things to eat, 3 foods to avoid, like all of those like tips in the caption. And I think like all of you guys know, it's changed quite a lot since then. And all of my peers are still posting those same types of things. And so for me, like if I could, I wish I could have the amount of success that I have had, that I know all of you guys have had as well. And I see it from like a way of like, when I got started as a health and fitness coach, I was like, I kind of had a little bit of that imposter syndrome that I think everyone has when they first start out. And so I was like, okay, I need to prove to people that I know my shit with health. So I'm going to post about all the glute exercises that they can do, all of this, all the food things, because I wanted people to know that I knew what I was doing. But like, now that I'm on the other side of that, I can feel that proving energy. And when you are, if you're wanting to be a really successful health coach or any coach, it's not something that's really transformative. It's not like what you know, it's how you teach it, it's how you deliver it to people. Because again, like Ronnie and I, we do very similar things, and we teach it, and the way that we deliver it to people is wildly different. And so it's not about what you know, it's about how you're doing it. And the same thing with like spiritual entrepreneurs. No one cares about your super special quantum healing energetic thing. It's how you're delivering that to people. And like when you can get into that and realize that it's about your personality and like your delivery and how you are unique, that's going to change like your business. But that involves like looking at yourself and being able to display yourself on social media instead of just like hiding behind, here are the facts and figures. And then just like with what you were saying, Monique, like investing in yourself. Like if you're not investing in yourself, how are you expecting your clients to invest in you? Because I have like health coach friends who like, they've got 100,000 people on TikTok or whatever. They're still charging $100 a month. And I'm like, no. And like mentorship, especially for health coaches, it's so valuable. And I think like that's what really helped me to get out of that cookie cutter box of posting the exact same thing as everyone else on Instagram, was to get into this unicorn group, get into Nonstop, and realize like, oh, I can be different. I'm allowed to be different, even in the health coaching space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and realizing like what makes you stand out, right? And I'm really good at hiding, and I'm coming out of my shell. I had a visual of like, remember those little egg people where like they would crack open and then other little people would come out? I had my visual, my imagination has been going wild in the last year. And anyway, so I had this imagination I was cutting out of the shell. And stepping out of it, it's like, okay, I'm done hiding. I'm just going to show up. So I'm doing these reels called "What Makes My Blood Boil." And when it comes to finances, I'm like, yes, stop it already, okay? Why are you charging $100 for this? I mean, there's this masterclass on how to teach marketing for this this certain product. I won't say anything specifically, and it was $19, and I'm like, for 5 days? Like, where's your ROI? Like, I would be drained. Like, you can't even buy lunch for $19. So know your value, know what you're worth, and deliver it in the way that makes you unique, because that's what's going to attract your clients, not, the facade and, oh, here's 3 facts. And I like that, the how. Thank you for sharing all that gold. Gold coins dropping, everyone. Gold coins. Lauren, you're up.
All right. Is it okay if I speak directly to the mom entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. Speak from your heart.
This is something I'm really passionate about. Tackle your relationship with motherhood before, or not before, but like you need to deal with it in order to have health and in order to have money, because most moms in general are extremely codependent with their kids, extremely codependent. And I say this as someone who has been extremely codependent with my kids, and I'm working on moving towards interdependence. And what this looks like a lot of times is having children to stand in the way of doing things that need to be done for your health, for your wealth, for your relationships, and doing it under the guise of being a good mom. And when you look at societally what people say it takes to be a really good mom, it's pretty fucked up, you guys. And not only is it pretty fucked up and unattainable, it's going to keep you from making money, and it's going to keep you from being healthy. And if you're not making money and you're not being healthy, how do you think your kids are doing?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be doing when, like my daughter said to me the other day, she's a competitive gymnast. She just got promoted to her next level for USA Gymnastics. And we went up to see Simone Biles compete in Hartford before the Olympic qualifiers. And she says to me, Mom, I would really love to go to Paris for the Olympics. And right now I can't take my daughter to Paris for the Olympics, right? Because I haven't made the money. because I haven't made the money to do it, right? And it's because I spent many years allowing myself to be mired in other people's ideas of what it means to be a good mom, instead of really looking at the core values that I hold for my family and the core values that I hold for myself, and using that to guide my day-to-day behaviors so I could rise in my wealth journey.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so beautiful. Oh my God, so much gold there. Gold coins pouring down, okay, from the sky above. You guys, you guys, you need to like go back and listen to this. This is freaking gold, especially you moms out there. Put yourself first, okay? Self-care is not selfish. Thank you so much, Lauren, for sharing that. Jen.
Yeah, I think y'all talked about the investment, and I think that was the biggest piece for me as of recently, is investing in a business coach, investing in somebody or a mentor that can talk me off the edge. That, I sit there, I'm like, why do I even address talking to men right now? Like, I don't, that's not my target audience, right? So investing in somebody or a business coach that can help you, guide you to what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish in your business. It's nice to have that person outside looking in. So invest in yourself. And then the best piece of advice that I received, there's a couple pieces of advice. When I first started off with my triathlon coaching, I heard, don't let perfection get in the way of good. As women, and men as well, but I see it with women. Oh, but that Canva isn't aligned up with this. That's not blending in with that. Then they don't do anything. They don't post. They don't do anything because they go into that mindset of like, oh, it's not perfect. I can't post it. If you have a misspelling, well, I don't know about that. That's where that's my OCD coming out. But for me, like if it doesn't, oh, you only got 5 or 6 likes on it, but maybe that one like, maybe somebody saw that, so don't let perfection get in the way of good. And then my second piece of advice from a dear friend, entrepreneur friend of mine, he says, fall fast. So if you're trying something, like I had a strength training program for endurance athletes in San Antonio, Texas, when I lived there. And I was competing against 20 million CrossFit gyms along with all these other global gyms. Finally, I shut it down because I'm like, I'm not getting anywhere with it. My ROI was terrible. So it was a good learning experience, but it was something that really has stuck with me. Those invest, fall fast, and don't let perfection get in the way of good.
I love that. Stop being perfect, everybody. None of us are perfect. Thank you for sharing that. All right, our final question, and I know some of you have to hop off. It's getting close to the hour. We do have a 2:00 hard stop. I like to respect everyone's time, but I know a couple of you are technical issues and have other commitments. So this last round, we might lose some faces, but that's okay. We're still here. So we'll start with Ronnie. What was your biggest financial mistake as a coach, and how did it shape your approach to both business and client coaching?
That's interesting. I don't really feel like I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying to say I've been perfect, like for sure, but like, I don't see things as mistakes, right? Like everything that happened, it's like, it happened for a reason. Like I was one of those people who I invested early. Like I quit my job and I kind of invested in a coach early. I did all these things. In hindsight, I should have learned more about taxes and like bookkeeping, that kind of thing for sure. I could have done better. But other than that, like everything else, I think I don't look at them as mistakes. I'm just like, you know what, like it is what it is. And I just kind of went with it. But yeah, I think having somebody helping you with your finances is very key in the beginning, because like, we all think that, oh, I'm just going to go train clients and do this. And it's like, okay, but like, what about taxes? Okay. What about taxes? What about this? I don't know about in the States, but in Canada, like they're all over you about your taxes. Like it's scary time. Okay. So like, you're not aware that like, it gets expensive. Okay. So it's just being aware. But luckily, like my mom was actually a financial advisor. So she instilled a lot of really helpful habits in me. But yeah, I would say don't do your finances alone. Okay. Like, just like we don't expect a client to go out and know exactly how to work out and eat. Why, like, you're not a financial expert. Why should you expect yourself to be? So yeah, that was my biggest thing, was not getting help in that area sooner. But yeah, I do have to pop off. I have my boot camp that I'm doing now, but I just want to say thank you so much, Lisa. This was awesome. Ladies, it was so fun hanging out with you and hearing all of your stories. You guys are such badasses. Everybody else, kick ass, take names, and I'll see you later.
Thanks, Ronnie. Bye. I love that. She's doing a summer boot camp. I keep hearing summer is right around the corner, and I'm getting all these emails from all the past things I subscribe to about get ready for your hot summer body. Like, yeah, I'm going to Europe and I'm going to stuff my face with all kinds of goodies. So that'll be more fun. Lauren, we'll have you go next. Her phone needs to be charged.
Guys, 9%. So let's see how this goes. All right. Kind of like Ronnie, I don't really believe there's such a thing as a mistake, but I will share. I made a really big investment in a higher level coaching container this year, not knowing that I was going to end up moving out of my house on January 1st and starting the divorce process with my ex. So I had planned that my W-2 income was going to be able to cover the payments that I was obligated to make for this coaching program. And my whole life just went to shit. My whole life went to shit. Suddenly I had $5,000 of extra unanticipated expenses with moving out, building my own household, like all these things that were going on. And it got crazy. It got really, really crazy. And I think in hindsight, when these things happen, like, and I know I've talked to Emily before, like we talked in Mexico about a program that she had defaulted on at one point, and like different things that happen when you're going through this journey. When you're like looking at this from the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, you're like, oh my God, I would die if. Oh my God, I would die if I defaulted on it. Oh my God, I would die if I found that I was in debt and like all of this was on a credit card. And what I learned is you don't actually die. Nicole said all the time, she's like, you don't actually die when you don't make money. And it sounds so stupid, but like I really needed to learn that. And I remember there was like one voice note that she left where she was like, you know, when the power company shuts your power off, they don't actually just do it 30 seconds after you don't pay your bill. They actually like send you notices and tell you that you're late. And then it actually gets shut off like 3 or 4 months later, right? And so all of these little things that feel like failures are actually just opportunities to recalibrate a lot of the drama that we create for ourselves around money and the drama that we create for ourselves around life, which really just comes down to all the mindset work, which is one of the reasons all of us are in nonstop burn or are in higher level containers, because that's really the work that we're here for.
Yeah, and it's so important. Those thoughts are the most powerful tool that we have. So thank you, Lauren. I appreciate it.
So I'm going to pop off before my phone kicks me off.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you. All right, Jen, you're up.
I agree with both of them, saying that there's really no mistakes. But I think for me is really the whole going back, not paying myself, right? Because I was that hoarder of money. And because, you know, we all hear it, oh, money doesn't fall from the trees. Like, you know, I couldn't get those Jordache jeans that I wanted in 7th grade because money didn't fall from the tree, that type of thing. So I think really figuring out how to pay myself, because let's be honest, I didn't have the income that my ex-husband had as a lawyer. And so it was a very eye-opening experience for me as I went through this divorce. Sure, did I receive money from the divorce? 100% I did, but I didn't want to tap into that because that was for my retirement. And so here I had to figure out how to start making money and once again start paying myself, because I paid. When we were together, I paid for our hobby. We were both triathletes. And so it was very easy for me to pay for our bikes, our hotels, my marketing, everything, race things, all of that. So it was a huge write-off. And then all of a sudden, here I am in Costa Rica, in a totally different country, and realizing, wow, I have to pay myself because I have to pay rent. I have to pay food. And, you know, I tell everybody, like, people are like, ask me about Costa Rica all the time. And I'm like, one of my top payments is my US health insurance with Cobra. Thank you, Apple. And and then my rent, and then food. Like those are the top three things. So I have to have cash flow coming in for those. So I definitely think the divorce was not a mistake. It was a beautiful lesson learned because, and I have to give my ex credit because he really taught me a lot about money because he was so good at not holding on to it, but investing and all that stuff. And I'm forever grateful for him for showing me how to start paying myself. So
Yeah.
I got to give him that.
I love that. That's beautiful. I can help you with the insurance. Don't pay. Cobra is way too much money. I have a great,
Seriously?
yes, I'm an independent insurance broker. Don't you remember?
Let's go.
Yeah, I
This is
specialize in
insane,
insurance
girl.
for entrepreneurs. I can save you oodles of money. And
Oh,
unless you're in one of 5 states, I'm not sure what state you're going to be on, but Texas is great. I got great coverage for people in Texas. Monique, you're up.
All right. So, biggest mistake. Oh gosh, there's been so many lessons learned throughout entrepreneurship for me. I actually started my business whenever I was about 18 years old. So, I've been in this for a long time as a business owner. But I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to like make money and save it. And one of the mistakes that I made, I'll never forget. And again, my story, it's the same point all over and over. It's I had this mentor, I was doing great. I hit this huge month. I lost everything. I got it back the next month. I was back on track and I was like, okay, I'm raising my prices through the roof. I went and like went this really big gap from this ticket number to this ticket number, and my nervous system dysregulated again, right? And it was like, oh my gosh, I can't charge people that. And I had already dropped my mentor. I was like, I don't need this anymore. I don't need one-on-one. It's fine. Like I'm making good money. I can do this now. I got the math and the path and I know the method, and my nervous system dysregulated and it all went back down again. And I was like, okay, so now I know my common theme is invest in myself, have plenty of people that I can work with, and I have tickets that are $99 and I have a ticket that's $25,000. And so there's a big gap in between that. But being able to change and be able to access both spaces, keep my mentor, stay on track, follow the rules. It has truly been the best support and the only thing that I'm going to say that has kept me in the railroad tracks this long. So
Yeah.
get somebody that knows what they're doing, that has your back and has already done it and to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you have the ascending offers. A lot of business coaches will teach, oh, you only have to have one offer. No, people are multifaceted. Like they might not, you might not, your one offer might not be what they want, but they really want to work with you. And like, no, you can only pay X amount of dollars. Yeah, stop that. Be
Big
you.
mistake. There was a huge market of
Yeah.
people that I could serve at a different price point that I was totally missing out on. So
Yeah, and I think a lot of us get in that rut. I've worked with a lot of different coaches, and it's like, you get stuck in that template, that cookie cutter thing, and then you think, oh, well, they said I had to do this, and I had a lot of stuff stuck in my mind about what I was supposed to do and what I could do, and it's just like, okay, what's in alignment with what I want to do? Especially when it comes to finances, everyone gets like, oh, no, oh, you want money? No. Well, I can just Google this. You can Google weight loss too, but you're not going to get anywhere, right?
you should not Google this. I promise you will go down a rabbit hole for 10 years and spend a lot of money and time trying to figure it out. Just hire somebody that's already done it and knows the exact way. So much easier.
Yes.
That's the biggest mistake that I made.
Yeah, I think we all did. Just invest in yourself and stop trying to figure it out on your own. You have the money. It's all about, you really do have the money. It's because you're not paying attention to the money. That's why you think you don't have it. And like once you start looking at the numbers, like in the Wealth Accelerator, we create a wealth activation roadmap. It's like, oh, wow, there it is. Oh, and I can do this with it. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Gold.
Yeah.
Emily. Oh, just gotta unmute yourself. That darn mute button.
Yeah, like everyone else was saying, I don't really see things as mistakes, as like lessons that I've learned from. But if I could tell my past self and tell anyone else to skip this phase, it would be to get out of rooms where people don't believe in you, or get out of rooms where people have poor money mindset, and get into rooms where people are entrepreneurs and people who do have a good money mindset. Because for me, when I was creating Fitness Witchcraft, I was going to a very basic gym full of influencers and people who just lifted and like charged, it was $200 a month and everything. And when I was talking about my business and like being all excited about Fitness Witchcraft, they were looking at me like I was absolutely nuts. Because I am in Texas. And so that really hurt me, because then I was like, oh my gosh, I am too much. And then therefore I was attracting clients who said I was too much and couldn't pay. And so just thank goodness I was in Nonstop and Unicorn World, right? Because that was like the only avenue of people who were like, yes, you can do this. You can make this work. You can absolutely charge 10K for your programs. Because then that allowed me to have that like segue so that I could leave that gym and leave that environment of people with shitty money mindset who didn't believe in me, to start like, now I've been attracting like friendships with people who are already millionaires. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much more beneficial for my growth. Getting into places where the level of success that you desire is normalized.
Yeah, absolutely. Surround yourselves with people you want to be like, that you aspire to, that will support you in your dreams and your goals and give you that. Thank you, Emily. That is such valuable feedback. And you know when you're in a toxic environment, like like you're not happy. And the body gives us the signals before anything else. And and if you're not sleeping at night, you're not eating right, you're not drinking enough water, you're not, eliminating waste properly, there's probably something else going on, maybe with your wealth, maybe with your relationships. So you guys, you got gold here with all of these health and fitness coaches. Check the comments, get into the world, see who can help you with that mindset, with that fitness, not only with your body, it's from the inside out. And this is going to be a domino effect with your finances and all of that there. So thank you for being here. We have a lot of comments. So you ladies go back and check out the group. I'll send you the link so you can connect with it too. Some great feedback. They loved the advice and all of that you had provided. So thank you so much for being here. And for those of you listening, you can catch the replay in this group, and it's also going to be uploaded over on my YouTube channel. I Date Money presents Money Talk. So go check it out. With me, Lisa Drennon, your wealth activator. And if you're looking for help with finances, just shoot me a DM. And if you want, in the United States, you want to save money on insurance, I saved my client Chris $2,500 each month. He was paying $3,000. So connect me. I'll check it out. Maybe I can help you. If not, I'll send you to someone who can. Because remember, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It's what you do with it.